And now then you want to hear about Invest Conway, which had changed my life completely, absolutely completely. And all as a result, as I told you, I had that book called The Royal Navy. And I insisted that's what I wanted to do and all the rest of it. So my father, being my father, knew a Captain Jones who lived in Pericare. And obviously he went to see him and had a lot of information from him. Didn't tell me anything about this at all. But obviously I had words with my mother, of course. And anyway, he took me up to see him one day. So I went up to see this old captain and had a chat. And quite nice chap. Quite nice that I can remember of him. And anyway, that was that at the time. In the meantime, it came through, that's right, in the meantime it came through that I was 3 months too old to go to Dartmouth, to the Royal Naval College there. So this was my only alternative. There were other places, mind, like HMS Worcester, but that was a ship that was sitting on, was concreted into a seabed somewhere, the Pangbourne. Anyway, cut a long story short, we decided that, right, that's what we're going to do. So Father wrote to the Conway, to Commander Goddard, who was the captain, and received back the information via a brochure, which I've got upstairs, which you can have. Quite fantastic. Matter of fact, I had a browse through this morning, waiting for you, and it gives you the prices of the clothes that you had to have. And I had to have a navy raincoat, that's right, with a belt and buckle. And that was £2.10. You know, everything else was below £1 sort of thing. Fantastic, fantastic. Anyway, there it was, yes, okay. So I had to try an exam now to get in. So it had to be overlooked by somebody or other, and it turned out that my brother Stanley, who being a vicar, was eligible to sit over it and watch me do it, sort of thing, that I wasn't cheating, which I did in the front room of 13 Tannadore Street, and it was sent away, and yes, I passed the exam. Are you going to go now? And everything went out, yes. Right. Now, of course at that time, would I be about 14, I think. You were having your Boy's Own and all the rest of it, comics. And I can remember my mother saying, "And don't forget, you won't be able to take those there. You won't be able to read it." My gosh, right. Well, anyway, cut long story short, I arrived at a place called Rock Ferry, because the Conway there was in Liverpool. And it was opposite Camelaird's huge, worldwide known building company. And lo and behold, I got to this place, this Rock Ferry, and there were a few people waiting there, of course. So I thought, right, okay, now bear in mind now, I hadn't been away before on my own at all. bear that in mind. So, right, duty of boat arrived. All for the Conway, yes, right. Get your baggage aboard, and off we went. And welcome aboard. Well, what my parents expected to be the first greeting, I don't know. But it was a real down-to-earth greeting that I had. And where you come from, sort of thing, you know. And that was that. Right, I was aboard. Well, the captain in his, Captain Jones in his wisdom, had warned my parents, you will receive letters from him, and undoubtedly they're pleading with you to take him home. And he was right, right down the line. I must have written about, half a dozen letters saying, for goodness sake, please, come and get me. And he told them, of course, ignore them entirely. Which they did, I never heard anything. And wisely, of course, he knew what he was on about, because by that time then, that I hadn't heard, I got used to the place. Because don't remember, no, I'd never been away before. I'd never been on my own. I wasn't allowed, I was too weak and all the rest of it. And there I was, plump. Right. Now, it's difficult to say. Life on the Conway, when I look back at it now, was a whole new world. And it was revolving around itself. And it was during the war, of course, obviously. And of course we had the air raids. And one air raid we had, which was pretty bad, we had to be evacuated. And we were evacuated back onto Rock Ferry, and there was a little hotel at the top. We were evacuated to that hotel. Some of us went out other places, but that's where I went. And it turned out, of course, it was very serious. It was a big blitz on Liverpool. And 2 mines, they said, had drifted past us, the ship, but only missed us by about 20 feet apparently. Very near, very near. They had a couple of incendiaries on board. Now imagine, now it's a wooden ship. So they had a couple of incendiaries on board, but they dealt with those okay. Right, so we went to this hotel now, right, into that dining room, get under the tables, right, which we did. Now I think, I can't remember the number of people who were there. I think there must have been about 20, 50 of us, something like that. And suddenly, it was espied a box of chocolates on the table. So everybody was talking about things and all looking at this box of chocolates. Anyway, we had this all clear then came through, and as we were going out, I looked over and, good gracious, the box of chocolates had magically disappeared. And I can remember that during the time, someone gave me one. Nothing was ever said about that, in all fairness. Nothing was ever said. Somebody obviously had somebody and left them there. Right, so we got back on board now. Well, we didn't stay all that long. They evacuated us back home. And said it was too dangerous, this was. So they were going to relocate the ship. And they were going to take it round to the Menai Straits and anchor it off Bangor Pier. All right, so I can't remember how long we were home. Must have been about 5 or 6 weeks, maybe a bit longer. Anyway, right, back to the ship, and there it was, off the pier in Bangor. And of course, with us being there all new now, we had all the university people on the waving and shouting at us and all the rest of it, you know, and signalling and come ashore. And that was my introduction, if you like, to that sort of life. Of course, we didn't have any air raids in Bangor at all after that. We just didn't do it. It was peaceful, and it was a different life entirely. You had all the subjects that you'd have in school, plus then navigation and ship management and all that sort of caper as well, signalling. And you lived in your uniform. You had 3 uniforms, the best, second best, and your working one. And you always had a tie on, black tie. You got to know people, different walks of life completely. I chummed up with a chap called Pilkington, who only died last year actually. He was a farmer. He hated the Navy, hated it. Then there was a couple of them from north of England. I never knew what happened to them. I've got an idea that they must have been killed during the war. Another chap called Kershaw, all sorts of people, you know. And there was a chap, and we had sea chests, and we were on the deck, and there was sea chests all the way along, and your name was printed on them, and everything you had was in there, and that's where you sat. And for sleeping, you had a hammock, and she was slung over that, across like that. And of course, and again, living the hard way again with a hammock. Poor old me, I didn't know where I was, sort of thing, you know, completely lost. But after, as I say, the first 3 to 6 weeks, you just had to do it. You had to buckle down and get that life, otherwise you're hopeless, which I managed to do successfully. It's all divided then into what they call tops. There were 3 masts. There was 4 ships, 4 decks. There was the upper deck, the main deck, the all-up deck, and the lower deck. That's right, the 4 decks. We ate on one deck, and we had school on another deck, and all that. And we worked. We were woken at 6 o'clock in the morning, and we had lights out, I think, at 9 o'clock at night. And all that time you worked. If it wasn't school, it was, we used to have lessons after school. Then we have to work. You see, it was a wooden ship with steel stanchions and all the rest of it. So everything was cleaning. We used to polish the stanchions with sandpaper. And it used to glisten, you know. And anybody who came, if you worked on a Wednesday and you worked on a Saturday morning cleaning, you were patch. If anybody after that was caught swinging or something like that, they'd get what they call a slack party, and they'd have to work for you in that area to clean whatever you wanted them to clean. They say that it was a 3-masted ship. Mizzen topmen were the smallest people, right? And I was a mizzen topman, because I wasn't very big at all. I was very thin. before I probably like to board the ship. And I was port missing at port side. I had a boy next door to me, and he wanted to be in the band, and he had a pair of drumsticks, and all he did was drum on his chest next to me. It didn't matter what time of day it was. Chap called Bill. He's still alive now. I haven't seen him, but he's still alive. And then the funny thing was that during my time there, two other Port Talbot boys came to join me. One was a chap called Bill Hanford, whose father had a big clothing store in town, and the other boy was called Morian Davis, who lived across the road. His father was in the docks offices down the bottom there. They came after me, but during my time there. And it was a wonderful thing. I joined my first term, the September term. I joined September to December. You were never asked what you wanted to do, you were told what you wanted to do. Sports. No, I was, you looked at it, and I was entered for the boxing. No, me, the boxing, you didn't have a weight low enough. But anyway, yes, I had to go in for that. Had to play rugby. And my poor mother must have been doing dots. Right. So we had this boxing tournament in the first year, in December. And first round, who did I have to draw but the bloke who won it last year? Oh my gosh, great stuff. And he kept on saying to me, come on, tough, come on down and let's have a spar down in the bed. No way, I would not, no chance. Anyway, my seconds were Bill Hanford and Morian Davis, you see, my seconds. Right, in they go now, in the first match. Right. Now, I've always had, ever since I was a boy, didn't have much luck with health and all the rest of it, but I was always a fighter. And that was my attitude in this thing. Right, you're in, you're going to beat him. Well, we went out to start sparring, and he hit me on the nose. Now, I hate being hit on the nose, always did. Hit anybody hit it. Oh, I got mad. Anyway, I won it. I won that particular round. I thought, good grief. Well, this other one, he was a oh dear, what was he? Was he a senior or? Used to have cadet captains, they called, you see. Junior cadet captain and a senior cadet captain over here. And then there was a chief senior cadet captain. He was a cadet captain. Now I don't know what have I done now, what have I done anyway. I've seen him since then and he still, laughs about it. And I went on during the time I was there to, I didn't win it, but I got to the final. And the first year final, now which one was it? The second one it was. The first one, I lost the fight, but I'd been ill the day before, and when I went to the sick bay, I had flu. Anyway, that was that one. Then the following year, I got the final again, and I got down with chicken pox, and I had to go ashore to our hospital then. But looking back at it then, the whole thing is, I was down there for 6 terms, and I got a junior rating, I was the junior cadet captain on Port Mizzen on my fifth term, and then I had my senior cadet captain on my 6th year, that's the last one, and stood in for the chief senior cadet captain. But I didn't have a top as such. I was in charge of all the mail, what they call the post office. I got the whole lot to go ashore every morning and get the mail, bring it back and sort it all out. In between times then, I wasn't one for sailing. I didn't sail very much. I didn't like it very much. Rowing I liked. Did a lot of rowing, which was very good for me. Lots of Conways only went there for, I think, the discipline. And as a boarding school, when it was a public school, you see, it was listed as a public school on the overseas lists for this country. We had one boy from Harrow, another one from Eton. The one from Eton is now up in Scotland. He's the Earl of Tremaine, I think it's the Earl of Tremaine he is now. And the funny thing about him was, he's a real fop when he got there, of course, you know, Eton, all the rest of it. And you knew that he was well off and all this, that and the other. And the way he spoke and this, that, yes, oh. And I thought, oh God, what the hell is he doing here to going to sea, for goodness sake? And do you know that I didn't find out until, must have been 10, 15 years ago, that he is a member of the South, now wait a minute, no, not the Cape of Good Hope, is it the Cape of Good Hope? Where the rough weather is, anyway. They have a special club for sailing there, and he got it, and he was a captain. So I thought it was fantastic. So we had the high people, people from well-endowed families, and we had the low people. We had everybody. We had all styles. We had one chap there from Bermuda. He was the chief senior cadet captain, and he did a handstand on the middle mast, the main mast, when we were in Bangor. He went up and did a handstand on the top. Fantastic. What a man. What? He won we had what they called the King's Prize, and he won it one year. Outstanding man. Outstanding. Had several Victoria Crosses, and indeed it was a really educational thing, the educational thing. And then from then we came home, and I'd finished my time. Now, when you leave, you have a convoy certificate or an extra convoy certificate. And the convoy extra is if you get more than 65% in all your courses, you know, which I did actually, I got that. And we were then, those people who left, some went to the Merchant Navy, others went into the Royal Navy. Those went into the Royal Navy. We went to, now where was it now? I forget where it was actually. But we went to the Greenwich Naval College in London, and we went there for a course, and it lasted 6 weeks, I think, or 8 weeks, something like that. And I was actually doing fire watch duty with I always forget his name. He was a film star who was also in the Navy. And yeah, we spent many an hour together looking for fires and all the rest of it.
So what date was this, when you left the Conway?
When I left the Conway, it would have been, I joined in 1940. My first term was 1940, and I left in 42. And I finished with the Conway then, and came out from there, and went to Greenwich Naval College then. That was 43, early 43, because I joined my first ship, HMS Derg, April 43. That was my first one. So it was a finish course, then we went a gunnery course to Whale Island, and then we went to your ship. We eradicated our ship.
Where's Whale Island?
Sorry?
Where's Whale Island?
Oh, down in Kent somewhere.
Ah.
Down in Kent. Gunnery course it was. Big gunnery course. But it was a fantastic time of my life. It molded me, I think, into not what I am today, but into a lot of my thinking. A lot of my thinking, which would not have happened if I had stayed in the grammar school. No, it was fantastic, and my mother and father were fantastic as well. They supported me right down the line. Couldn't have wished for better. And the funny thing is, I looked, and in this book that you can have, there's the amount of money that things cost, and I could see in my father's writing, working out how much it cost me to go there every term, and I think it was the term fee was something like about £45. Now in those days, in a public school, £45. Fantastic, that is it. But as I say, it was a real, and I was always, before you were born, I always used to say to mother, if I have a son, he's going there. There's no doubt about it, I said. No, he is not, she said, as is usual. But what happened was, unfortunately, she doesn't, it's no more now. In 1953, they decided she needed a refit. So they had to take her round into Liverpool from Bangor. Now they had to take her underneath the bridge down the end of what?
Menai Bridge.
Menai Bridge. Now when you get to Menai Bridge, there's the coat they call the Swillies. And to get through there at a certain turn of the tide, so that it is no drag or anything like that, you've only got 6 minutes to get through it. So you're going to be spot on one side of the bridge to get through to the other. And unfortunately, although there were 2 tugs available, it didn't make it. It got into difficulties. And it went aground ashore, and it was wrecked. That was in 1953. From that time, then, 1953 till 1974, there was a huge, luxurious manor on the Menai Straits, which was right by the straits, called Plus Newydd, right? So from 53 to 1974, that's where the Conway was. It was ashore. I went back there actually. Mum and I went up to Bangor and I went back to it. Not the same, no way. There was nothing, no creek in it. And it was then in 1974 what they called paid off. In other words, it finished completely. And the reason it finished, there was nobody to go to it. Because our merchant navy had run down so much, there was no call for it. Which was absolutely abysmal to think that that is the reason for it. Oh dear, dear, dear.
So when you finished the Conway, or was it during the Conway that you met Mum?
Did I?
Meet Mum?
Oh, meet Mum. You meet my fate. No, I was on the Conway. It must have been, I was there from 1939, 1940, and it must have been in 41. 16 years, about 41. And the only reason, the way I met her, I was with Hugh Butt, you know, and we also have another chap called Di Lewis, who was a member with us, who turned out he joined the Navy actually after me. Oh, and he was a bit of a boy, you know, a bit of a lad. And he said, I know two boys, he said, who were in the school with a sister. Oh, she's fantastic. So, oh, come on, Di, now we've heard you before and all this. Oh, he said, oh, absolutely fantastic. So anyway, we always used to go round together, and we were one day then going into the park by Rice Street, and Tyler was saying, hey, there she lives up there, he said, that first house there now. And with that, Robin and Sonny came out. Oh, he said, there's the boys, there's the brothers there. Oh, come here! So off they came, and they said, no, we're going over the park. Now, we'll be over there now this afternoon. Bring your sister over. Oh, yes, yes, yes. And that was it, sort of thing, you know. Well, at that time, they had something in Port Talbot called Weekend at Home, or something like that it was called. Where the bandstand, they used to have a band in there playing at times. So we went to this, and we were standing watching them, you see. And then suddenly these two boys came up. And the next thing I knew was a hand going into my hand, and a hello. That was my introduction to your mother. I don't know how it developed after that. I know we did quarrel at one time. Or do we have a different opinion because we didn't correspond or go out at all together? But then, when I joined my first ship and we went away, I was there one night, oh, what on earth is about it? Write her a letter, you know, which did start in the back like that. And then she met me at the station when I came home with the other war. But, no. Perhaps I'd been overbearing with this idea of the Conway, but it was so fantastic.
So your first ship was HMS Dirk?
My first ship was HMS Dirk.
So what?
That was a submarine, anti-submarine ship.
So where did you go off?
It was a convoy one, that was a convoy one. I can always remember I had to report to this in Leith in Scotland and Edinburgh, and I remember saying to my mother, don't worry, you know, I've got 3 weeks holiday coming to me, I'll be home before long. Okay, right. Oh, no, don't worry, Mum. Right, off I went, and I came back 3 years later.
So where did you go with the Dirk?
On the Dirk, oh my gosh, and there's another year, there's another life again. Good God. All over the place. I joined her in Leith. We went from there, we did trials because she was a brand new ship around Scotland. All the mulls and October Moray and what's that famous one of the...
Kintyre.
Eh?
Mull of Kintyre.
Yes, but there's another one of the water in the cave. Fingers Cave.
Yeah.
Fingers Cave. We saw all that. And then we came from there, then we had to report then to Londonderry in Ireland. So we went over there, and we were going out with a convoy then. Take this convoy out to South Africa, and that was it. Yeah, we took it out to South Africa, which we did. We went then through the Bay of Biscay and down through the west coast of Africa and down to Cape Town. But during that time, of course, obviously, we were harassed going through the Bay of Biscay because we could hear and we saw the German spotted aircraft, you know. They were following us. Of course, we were on tours then because of submarines and good and so forth. But we weren't attacked. We weren't attacked. We couldn't understand it, actually. We stopped at Bathurst on the way down. And we got down to what do you call it? Right. Then after that, then we were sent up to Aden, and that was our base, Aden, because we used to pick up the convoys or ships coming through from the Med through the Gulf, and then take them either to in India, Karachi, Bombay, or down to what they call Sri Lanka now, which was Ceylon in my day. And that was the convoy work we did. Great ship. Oh, great ship. It was a very happy ship.